Test. Hey there, guys. So tonight I'd like to talk about motivations and making cold calls, and why I think making cold calls can somehow motivate people like me, especially those who 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 frequently have doubts about their own capabilities, who have problems with their confidence and people around them. So you know, I I know um, it's the desire drives us to do certain thing, especially desire and thirst for approval. They tend to drive to motivate us into doing and engaging with certain tasks and people. And I have to admit that based on my previous experiences dealing with a variety of people coming from a variety of backgrounds and ethnicities, you know, levels of experiences, expertise, and levels of experiences, ranks of expertise in certain realms or certain field of studies. So yeah, um, please excuse those noises because it's Chinese New Year, so that's why I have to wear I have to wear a piece of earphone. So to in order to minimize the noise, so I had to wear this headpiece. But regardless, um, tonight I like to explain, guys. I like to explain several things relate to making phone calls to you guys, and why I think actually making cold calls in order to attain a particular sales target does not necessarily help you reach a certain sales target. However, you can use making you can leverage and harness the power, the motivation, while making cold calls can can potentially grant you, excuse me. So since pretty much all those large corporations, all those large companies, big companies, they will almost, not just almost, but they will almost always, nearly 99.9% of chance will have a team specializing in answering to incoming phone calls, either from their from their customers or potential customers, or the leads, or the named, also aka potential customers. They will have they will at least have a team, if not an entire department attending to those phone calls, and those phone calls can include, but may not be solely limited to cold calls. So yeah, which means by making cold calls, you will only get in touch with their phone support team, but not necessarily their their actual decision makers, who can largely or totally affect their own purchasing behaviors or plans or agenda, or scheduling certain certain events to make them happen. So yeah, making cold calls, by solely making cold calls, we cannot solely depend on making cold calls, cold phone calls, cold sales calls to our potential customers. Since cold calls can only help you dig thus far, it can only reach thus far. It will not reach, at least not directly, convey the necessary message, the necessary information we wanted to convey to the decision makers. And those decision makers, those let's say company directors, shareholders, they do not have the obligation to attend to your summoning, to your phone calls. They can either, when I say they don't have the obligation to attend to our phone calls, I meant they do not have to attend to. They can either choose not to answer or to answer the calls at their own very discretion. Yes. So, yes. So for those who actually make phone calls on their own terms, using their own phone credit, that will not at least maximize the your phone credit you are about to spend on making overseas calls, on making overseas cold phone calls. So to make the best use, to make the fullest use of your phone credit, I would suggest only make those phone calls when absolutely necessary. So I meant that you do not have to ring them using a telephone, because it will incur a fee, and most more than often it will usually charge, they will usually charge you an exorbitant amount of fees just for the phone traffic's usage. So making overseas cold calls will not necessarily facilitate your business process, and it will not necessarily accelerate the overall growth, or the overall growth potential of your business entities. However, you can still choose to to ring people using Facebook, using WhatsApp, using Line, Google Hangouts, those apps that only use Wi-Fi internet connection, which will not incur a fee for using it. Which will not incur an additional fee for using it, to be more accurate. And in so doing, even if it doesn't bear fruit as an actual increase of profit or revenue, it will still kind of gives you a sense of purpose. At least it will it will make you make you approve of yourselves. And we all do things in order to seek more approvals. I believe such principle does not only apply to Christians; it also applies to non-Christians. And since God designed us to, to experience joy, to experience, love, to experience, various emotions, feelings, thoughts, but most most importantly, God wants us to experience joy, experience approvals. Although approvals can come in many varieties, many forms, and sometimes seeking approvals may not help with improving our mental health condition. Though it may help us in the short term, it will not, grant us, eternal happiness or eternity with happiness. So let's say for example, if you, nowadays, I can't help but to believe that we are all running short of true friends. We don't, we do not have as many friends as we think we have. In fact, because people, they often approach us for, seeking some sort of benefits, seeking some sort of seeking some sort of advantages to take, if not benefits, if not monetary profits to make. I just have to admit that, because I don't know if I should consider myself a victim of false friends. But you just need to arm yourself with the preconception of skepticism, preconception of doubts when it comes to dealing with people. Especially in nowadays world, we can trust no one but Jesus. It pretty much, because according to the Bible, and to some extent it will please ourselves, but it will not necessarily make us that much of money. It will not necessarily help us profit in terms of doing business, in terms of monetary advantages. Like the Bible said, the Gospel of Matthew, because of the increase or multiplication of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. Yes, the Gospel of Matthew chapter 24 verses 12. So, Jesus, why it suddenly stopped, I don't know. But never mind. In case you need help, please feel free to let me know. I'll do my best to help you guys with prayers, with the Bible, with business, with relationship with people. But that matters much less than building relationships and building and maintaining relationship with God, Jesus himself. So thank you again for watching, listening. I shall see you on the next video on YouTube. Bye bye. Cheers.